Hey everybody. All right, so we are just going to play with figures and possibly some portraits. Pencils, pens, markers, watercolors, whatever you have at hand. Um, get some stuff out and scribble along with me, and we'll see what we come up with, okay? Don't be, like I said before, don't be afraid of doing these. The only way to do it is to just jump in and do it and do some lousy ones before you do some good ones. And maybe you'll be good right off the bat, but don't worry if you're not, because it's just like anything. It takes practice, persevere. So work past the goofy looking things, embrace it, and we'll see what we can get with it. And eventually you'll be happy. Okay. So I'll just show you a couple really quick out of my sketchbooks, just to give you some ideas of things, that I've done. Um, This is just one that I did at the Back Bay really quick with watercolor. It's just getting the idea of the figure. It's my daughter. She had this cute striped sweater on, and I just wanted to sort of capture that gesture. The gesture is sort of the movement of the body, the way it's placed. So it doesn't have to be, straight up and down figure. Sometimes it's just, if you can get the gesture of the movement, get that in just a little brush stroke, that's enough to capture the image of the person, because it definitely looks like her to me anyway, because I know her, but that's her posture, that's her head shape, her hair. So those things are right. The rest is just like really light. It's not a worked out watercolor by any means, but it was just capturing a moment. And that's something you can do, quickly. You're on a walk with a friend and you want to just stop and grab something. This is just a few strokes with your water brush. All right, so, and the other, I'll show you, that's something I was just getting figure shapes down. It's something just to play with, just to get ideas, and I was just painting these out of my head and doing a little demo thing at one point. And so these were the figures that I just quickly got out of it to get this sort of rainbow of figures and see, just if I could get shapes. It wasn't really about shading or anything else. And some of the shapes are a little weird, but the sitting down one, I think it gets positioning in a way that was just like really super quick, just quick studies. That's what I'm just saying, like, have fun with this, just play, find a way to just, make it fun. This is kind of a cross between a sketch and a little watercolor study. I was getting some ideas for a possible painting, but I did this in pencil and watercolor. And I wanted to show you this one just because of the body. I think I was like able to capture kind of the shape correctly of the body. And that's sometimes what I believe I told you in one of the videos, that this is sort of what Hopper would do, that he would get a nude going, because that way it really shows, the clothes can really lie more naturally onto that body. So I was having it somewhat transparent for this, because that's what it might be for the painting anyway. But I also just wanted to be able to show you that is mostly correct. So getting that part down, that's why, I mean, a lot of people will study, and paint nudes to get that, more of the musculature too. And if you're really getting into doing figures, it's a good thing to study, as far as, and then even when you have clothed figures, it's going to make them more natural, more realistic. Not that this was trying to be realistic at all. It's really trying to be invisible, because it's part of my project, but making invisible women. But I think that this kind of gives you a sense of what you can do with just a quick sketch. So with that, let's just get started. I think the best place to start is at the beginning. So I dug out just an old throwaway landscape that I've been started at one point quite a long time ago, and thought, okay, this I can use. And just many of you have asked how to put figures into a landscape and sort of the perspective of that. So, I mean, we talked a little bit about carrots. So I think I talked about it with you guys, but anyway, the carrots are sort of the way you think about figures in a distance in a landscape. So you know how a carrot is, here, let me just, well, let's put on there. The carrot has the top, right? And it comes down narrow. And then maybe you've got the little thing where the head is, or where the, you know, the sprouts come out out of the dirt. So that would be your carrot shape. I think you can see that. But it also ends up looking like a person. And especially if we anchor it with a shadow. So the sun is back here coming that way. So the shadow is probably going to be like that. It's something to think about when you're putting your figures in. Where is the sun coming from in your painting or your drawing or your sketch? If you are sketching from life, then you can just see that and make note of it. But just a little indication like that is enough to show, you know, to show that that's actually something there that's creating the shadow. You can go in, I'm just going to use colored pencil right now, I think, but I can just add just a touch of color, not much, but just like a littlest bit, and you get the idea of this person standing there with a little red bathing suit on. It doesn't have to be detailed at all. She's way off in the distance. We are out, you know, let's see if I can move it up. We are out here somewhere, and she's way over there down the beach, so small. As figures get closer to you, then we would be drawing them bigger and maybe showing a little bit more detail. So I don't know, probably be going too big on this, but let's say here's a person a little bit closer. Again, you don't have to get into too much detail, but see, it's bigger than that person. And we're going to have the shadow going equal to, you know, direction wise to that one. So we're anchoring it here. And again, just adding just a little spot of color, would be all you really need to do to just kind of show that that's a person that has clothes on and whatever. Let's get some orange. Show up as much as other things. Yeah, probably. I'll just go with red again because it's in my hand. So just adding a little bit there. And that's what, you know, colored pencil, you could go over with watercolor, pastel, anything you want. Just putting just a dot of color on there makes it read as color. So this is the idea for figures in landscape. We'll probably do more of these during Zoom. But in the meantime, if you want to practice them, just think carrot, right? You get a little carrot shape, little dot on the top. You can make them doing different things in different, you know, directions or whatever. But walking along the beach is a really good thing just to practice getting, you know, let me see, maybe I'll show you a walking one because we're right here. Let's get a person over here, and that person might be running. So you want to just think like stick people in a way. So that gives you that idea of somebody running. So you're splitting up your carrot. It's not really a carrot anymore, but it's okay. Again, we've got to go with that same direction for the shadow. That anchors it in place. Let's see. I'm looking for a blue pencil that's sharpened, but I don't see one. Here, I'll show you what it would be if I put like a little dot of color with paint. So let's get a little blue on my paintbrush, a little watercolor, and I'll just put a little blue dot in there. Oops. That's a kind of big blue dot, but you get the idea. If you go too much, you can always kind of pick it up and smear it off and make a mess of it. Oh, well, that's what I do. Now it's somebody wearing a dress and running. Oh, well. Anyway, this is watercolor. I can lift it. So for you sketchers, if you haven't worked much with watercolor, you can go back in with a wet brush. You can pick stuff up that way. Get it wet and fix it. And fix it, and fix it. Because I forgot to bring a towel with me. But anyway, you can pick it up with another dry brush. You can pick it up with paper towel. But depending on the paper, usually you can pick up stuff in watercolors. And I'm going to go back in, fix that a little bit better now. Still kind of blue. So now it's going a little dark, but it's okay. Anyway, you get the idea. This is what we want to just sort of play with some shapes. I guess the running arm should be there too. We'll put an arm out. The other one might be back. Well, now she's doing Pilates on the beach. I don't know. But anyway, this is what you can play with. You could just like find a scrap piece of paper and do a bunch of people in distance. You can put your horizon if you want, just so you can start playing with perspective and what happens as they get even closer still. So like figures getting closer, like up here in this area, they're way closer to us. We're going to maybe see more of them, maybe a whole lot more of them. So let's just play with that idea of actually seeing a form of the person. Again, it doesn't have to be too detailed because it's just a little sketch. There we go. Again, shadow is going to match, going in that same direction. So there's consistency, it grounds it, it gives it an anchor. I'm gonna give it a red bathing suit because this is what I want to do. And then if I want to go in and, you know, make things darker or give a little bit more detail to this figure, since it is closer, I can even go bigger, depending on your perspective. So if this was, say, a crest and we're looking down on that beach and right up here where she is, we decide, oh no, I want a person like really big right here. And I'm looking way down on that. That's going to create a whole different perspective. It's going to give you the idea of where you are or your position out here. So bigger, you know, big head and maybe shoulders, and that's all you would see. And then you realize, oh, they're way down on the beach. It creates a sort of a gap or a big space, like a canyon-y kind of thing as the beach goes way out and down. So depending on what you're doing, that's, you know, you can play with that too as you're doing these. Just start putting things around different sizes and see what that does to your landscape. So hopefully that will help. All right, so if we're just going to, like, say, sketch with a paintbrush with watercolors, that's another thing you can do. I'm just gonna play today. I just feel like playing. I just want to show you like how easy it is to get the idea of a figure without rendering the whole thing. So with watercolor, you know, you can just kind of pull that figure down and you can kind of just imagine it. I mean, you certainly can work from a photo. But you can also work from your imagination too, or if there's someone in the house willing to pose for you, so you get more ideas of what the form does. So this is behind facing. It's kind of just enough to give you information. Her arms are going out that way, but if I wanted, I could say, oh, maybe that would be better if that was on her hip. So let's join that in, pull the color down, let it do whatever it's going to do because it's watercolor. I can charge other colors into it too, just, you know, getting, I want to get some purple going in it for my lighter side. Or half of it, maybe, maybe not. Anyway, that's another possibility. Again, as you put color down, you can dry your brush and you can pick color up if you don't want that much there. And it's showing it a little differently now. You really need to blend that shoulder so it makes sense. Anyway, just you can just do these, whatever, different colors and just play. Just spend an afternoon or morning just with some watercolor or even, you know, you do it in pencil or whatever, just getting the form down. So let's see if we were imagining somebody bending over, for example. Let's just get the gesture of them bending over. Now, it might not be super accurate, but it's all right because we're just kind of getting an idea. Now they're going to pick something up. So we've got to get a hand in there. Maybe they're about to do a push-up with another hand in there. Brave soul. Little foot indication. So see how these are just like really not detailed at all. It's just the form. It's just giving you the idea of a body there. And it's fun if you have watercolors, just to play with your different colors and see what else you can come up with. Let's see if we get somebody reaching up maybe. pink. So we'll just get a little blob for a head shape. Pull down the neck, the shoulders. You know, sometimes these just take on a life of their own as you're just in a stretch. You start feeling that idea of that figure. You know, pull down legs. And you don't have to have much more than that. We can pick up some, we can, you know, just get more of a hair idea in there by just picking up some of the watercolor. I can go darker into, if you want to define them, you can start defining them. But what I like about these is that it's the idea of the figure. It's enough for some of your ideas in sketching just to capture form and practice looking at people on TV, pausing your TV and getting the shape of the body, you know, that's there, or your cat or dog or whatever, if you can catch them long enough, getting that quick shape of, see, as soon as I said that, my cat left the room. I was just about to do that. Anyway, she doesn't like me painting her. But I do it anyway. So let's see. I'll do it without her here. I'll just do it from memory. It's fun just to kind of play. She was doing this kind of fun stretch. Get the tail going. And not too much to that. But that's one way you can just play, just spend an afternoon or several afternoons doing lots and lots of these, and that's going to help you to see better. And if you want, you know, then when you're getting into more accurate sketches, if that's the direction you want to go, you've got the form down, you have the gesture, the movement, and then it's filling in with more. There's so much to learn with, you know, muscles and with the figure and proportions and all of those things, that sometimes just playing with it at this stage is a really great jumping off point. So it's not so stressful, and you know, this is something you can do. So if you are wanting to go in and get more detail and everything else, I certainly encourage you. There's lots of good websites for that. I'll try to touch on it, but it's really a full, you know, series of classes. You don't even think you can get it all in one class. I'm still learning the figure and how to put the muscles in properly. And if you want something very photorealistic, that's a different thing than what we're doing here. All right. So another good place to start is on, you know, using a picture from Unsplash. I've told you about that site before. Or you going into Webcam Taxi, drawing, sketching people there. Unsplash, you would have somebody still for sure. And you can try it in different ways. So like even getting a model pose, like just look for figures or for people. You can do that search on Unsplash and find some pretty nice resources of photos that you can use. And you can try it in different ways, try it in different sketching techniques that we've done. Try just like a line drawing. Now with the line drawing, I'm going to start drawing while I talk. With the line drawing, you want to draw what's closest to you first. So determine that. Start, you know, dissecting the drawing and see what's closest. Sec. Okay, hang on 1 second. Kitty is calling me. Okay, so I'm working from home and the kitty started going crazy. Anyway, she got stuck up on the sink. All right, so I'm just drawing from this model that's on Unsplash, and I'm going to try to kind of look at this figure without getting too caught up in it, but just enough to show what's going on here. We've got a bag, This bag that she's carrying, so she's only an arm so far, is black bag. And so that's in front, that's the closest thing to me. And everything else is going to kind of relate to this bag as far as, I pulled that out of for my idea of what I want to relate everything back to. So as I'm looking at things, I can see, oh, okay, that's in line with the strap, right? The neck. There's hair that's coming here. And so it's kind of an idea that you just sort of go with. Again, getting head shape. Her hand is coming up here, touching her head. The arm's coming down and across her shoulder, for the shoulder. And this is just, it's just a way of looking and putting something down. And it doesn't have to be perfect, of course. I'm gonna get some stripes on that top for fun. And then she'll have her skirt that comes down here. The skirt is covered by the bag, so it's really coming out here from the bag a little bit. Like that, good enough. And then we've got to get the legs in place. So we've got one. This is a brush pen. So it's got the Sumi ink in it. Make this photo go up. I gave her very thick calves, poor girl. Anyway, you could, keep it rough. There's a gap in between her legs. Get that by better. Knee, thigh. Just kind of slightly walking. Just kind of standing here, kind of walking, kind of looking. And I'll just do a little something in for the face. So remember, the eyes are halfway, so on ahead. I think we talked about that, but maybe we didn't. So if you have an oval, the halfway point are where the eyes are going to be. So like there and there. This photo, her hair is covering up one of her eyes, but I won't do that. We'll give her eyebrows. The eyebrows, the brow line is like an eye space above. There's 5 eyes across if you're doing a portrait, where you're showing more of the face, but for just a sketch, as long as you have stuff, relatively close, you're good. So kind of this sort of thing, I can see if I've got you in, oh yeah, I don't quite have it in, so you didn't get to see my fat ankles. But anyway, this is just the idea of grabbing somebody off of TV, off of Unsplash, off of any other photos you have. When it's a gesture kind of drawing, really catching that gesture, but thinking about, especially if you're in ink, what's in front of you, what's closest to you, and then the other things get placed behind and kind of in as that is your marker too. So you can sort of measure against that. I noticed the purse is about the same size as the top. About not quite as big as the legs. The legs will go down longer. So things like that, you can start making these kind of connections. And just a quick pen and ink idea of it is enough to start you on your way to figures. So so if you wanted to, do a sketch and wash pencil, might be another thing you can think about using as you're practicing these things. So this is kind of fun because, of course, you can erase. You can also move stuff around with water. So I'm just, again, I got a photo reference, but drawing from life, if you can do that, or even like pausing a TV, the movie, that's kind of a fun way to start getting some of this down. Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about photos is that they won't move. They don't sneeze. They don't, leave partway through. So, um, so you have time to really analyze it, the pose, and see what's going on. You have time, but as you're training to be out sketching and catching people from life, it's really a good idea to actually do that because you'll be ready for it then instead of just you know having the crutch of a still kind of drawing or photo to go from. It's nice just to really have to put yourself under the gun and go fast with it. It's a lot more challenging, and I think the more you just push yourself to do that, the better off you'll be than going from photos. But when you're stuck at home and this is a good way to at least get something done and get a little practice in. Oh, I forgot to put the edge of those shorts. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I've got the knees kind of, and I don't really have a shorts drawn in. I guess I did. I didn't really see it. Okay, so this guy, he has gray shorts on, so I can just go in as a Sketch and Wash pencil and decide, okay, I want to show a little bit of this, or maybe just really work on my values. He's got super tanned legs and white tennis shoes. So I don't know how much of this is going to come across as accurate or looking correct, but leaving a little bit of white for highlight. Back in with some water. He's got a white shirt on, so I'm not gonna put too much in there, but just like a little bit. You shade a little bit, say the sun's coming from the front from right here, maybe. That's highlight, you can leave some of that highlighted. Look at that arm and the inside of the arm. Then we have the idea of the sun hitting that arm. We'll get maybe that side of the face. Maybe give him a little hair, even though the photo reference was baldy a little bit. Is he bald? No, I guess he's not bald. Kind of looked. All right, so that gives you maybe a little bit more in there in the shadow. Get some wrinkles in the shirt a little bit. Another idea of how you can just get a figure in, not a lot of information, keeping it kind of just really loose is a way to approach this. And I think really going onto webcam taxi when people are walking down the street, it forces you to move really fast and get that figure in. You get a lot of kind of not so good figures, but eventually, as it's forcing you to go fast, you'll be able to capture more information better, more quickly, and that should help. So yeah. So what about just playing with pens? Pens are fun just to play with and do some scribbly kind of sketching, drawing, portrait work. So one place to start is a lot of people just really get into eyes. I was in a gallery yesterday that had this one drawing that was just somebody's eyes and it was cut off. So you didn't see the rest of their face, but honestly, I thought, I know that's like somebody's eyes and I'm recognizing it, but not exactly pinpointing it down. And my daughter's like, yeah, isn't that so-and-so, from this TV show? I was like, yeah, I think it is. I never did check with the artist to see if that's who it was, but it might have been. So eyes are fun just to play with a little bit and just doodle. So like if you're even just sitting in front of the TV, and I feel like I'm always giving that example. I honestly don't sit in front of the TV that much, but if I do, I feel like I need to be multitasking. So I will pick up a pen and doodle. Or if you're on the phone, a lot of times if I'm stuck in a meeting, I just sit and doodle eyes or ears or just one part that I want to just kind of figure out a little better. So kind of doing eyes, doing a pair of eyes, trying them different ways, getting that done. Oh, see, you hear my kitty? Getting that done with just a little bit of pen line, seeing how far you can push it. And you can make these people up. You can, just keep it really loose. Sometimes it's fun just to keep super loose lines and do, so say you got some eyes now, it's like, oh, where can I go with these eyes? It would be fun to put those eye sockets in. Looking spooky. Doodle on down the face to that nose, going darker at the nostrils. Just kind of finding these little parts. Maybe look in the mirror and do a self-portrait kind of thing. But I like these ones that like leaving that white space where the highlights are, going lightly with a pen, just kind of scribbling that form and getting ideas of it as you're just kind of thinking about it. It's nice when it doesn't have to look like anyone in particular. In a portrait, if you're doing something somewhat accurately, if you go from the iris straight down, so that middle of the eye straight down is where the corner of the mouth is going to be usually. There's always these averages, and then there's people with smaller mouths or bigger mouths or whatever, but that's generally where it's going to fall. So let's make the face a little fatter to match it and fit it. Let's get a little bit of a chin going in there. So this is kind of a fun way to play. Now between the eye and the bottom of the nose is where the ear is going to hit usually. So if you got ears on the side. Oh, poor kitty, can you hear her crying? She wants attention. I usually do these at my studio for a reason. Anyway, now we've got some ears going, and we can come down and get a neck in, and maybe come back up and get a bit of a forehead in. But remember, as we do this, that's not the end of the face. There's also a skull behind that. So behind the face, you've got your whole skull that's supporting it or that's on it. So we need to add that in as well. And sometimes the hair fits right on it and sometimes it goes beyond it. So just practicing looking, I'm gonna do some figure eights. Looking at people, looking at yourself in the mirror. See if we want this to have a little bit of a shading here. So maybe that's not hair. She's gonna come join us. She can walk across my computer any moment now. Or maybe the drawing. We can go darker down here where the chin is going to be shadowing the neck area. And again, I'm just doing goofy little scribble lines. And it's fun just to scribble and keep adding layers of scribble on. You can just kind of keep doing this as you form and as you think about it. And you can even go in with other colors if you want, or just keep it all in one color. Yeah, I feel like it's gotta have something back here behind. Oh, my poor kitty. So see how relaxing this can be, especially when you're really not trying to make it look like someone else. You're just doodling. Doodling portrait sketches, you get enough of these under your belt if you're just sitting there getting your sketching for the day, your 10 minutes, do a person. Start looking at what is the underside of the nose doing that goes into shadow, what, how are those eyes sunken in, to the eye sockets, so they're not just on top. Okay, so that's another place you can go. I've got an orange of same kind of pen, so like see what happens. Like what if, what if I went in and added some other color to it, or just a pop of color maybe. That could be interesting. So absolutely unlimited things you can do here. You can go in with watercolor on top of a scribble paintings or scribble drawing. Paint a little bit of color on or go with pastel over the top. Let's just see what happens just for fun before we go. Go with a little orange. What if, see if that, oh, it's not. Okay, there's something to check. Check if it's a water soluble pen or not. And this one is, so it's getting it all blurred, which actually could be really cool. I'll just go with it since that's what happened. Let's see. You can keep kind of working it that way. So unlimited things you can do with portraits. My advice to you this week is just to play and have some fun. And hopefully you'll get kind of bit by the bug and enjoy doing portraits as much as I do. It's really a great place to practice. And I think the more you look at yourself, for example, and draw yourself or even drawing others, it's practice looking. It translates to your landscapes, to your still lifes, all of it, because it's always about looking and putting down what you see. And just that practice, eye-hand coordination and feeding those pathways in your brain, that's going to help you build your practice and help you see better. And it's going to translate across all genres. So whatever you are interested in doing, portraits, I think, helps a lot. So give it a try, even if you're afraid of it. I just encourage you to just do it, try it, jump in, get goofy with them if you want. You can make them wonky. They don't have to be all proportioned. They don't have to be lifelike. If that's something you're wanting, email me and I will tailor our Zoom for whoever emails me first or the most or whatever. And I will try to show you a little bit of some other things too on that day. So, all right, have fun. Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Bye, everybody.